Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be talking to you about black holes. Well, basically what a black hole is it comes from the sun. The sun is big, the sun somehow gets smaller, then it loses gravity and the gases fall off, and because it's got smaller, it's so dark around it, that's why it sucks in all the light, 'cause it's pitch black all around it, and because it's smaller. This because the sun is smaller, it doesn't shine as much, so then you can't. So then it's too dark to see it. But it's in the centre of the black hole, and the gases, basically, and the gases are coming out. So they spin around like this. If they spin, they go like this. That's when they're floating away from the sun. Because it's got smaller, the gravity has decreased, so they're floating away. That's something like 70% is floating away. Now the other 33% does this, grabs upon it, sucks it in, melts it, and then it gets stronger. But I have a thing what can stop that now. I figured it out. Let's see. You know the PS3 controller? You got the PS3 controller. Some people say items are made of particles. So items are full of particles. Basically, first they got some metal, and then they got some computer chips, and they got some buttons, and they all put together to make a PS3 controller, right? It was actually made by other particles. It's made by resources we had. And we think about the PS3 controller. It has all these different materials on it. So does that mean it has particles all the way through it, or are they all in the centre? Because if they have particles all the way through it, layer by layer by layer by layer, all we just have to know is the order of the particles, and we suck particles out of this controller from here all the way to the other side, from here to the other side, suck particles out from that side, and the controller will disappear, and it will go into the container on the other side of the machine. Otherwise it's just going to float away into the sky, and that's valuable resources thrown out into space. And with this weapon, we could dissolve anything. We could turn anything into particles. We could turn planets into particles, moons, spaceships, people, cars. And if we did it with people, we could send their particles up onto the spaceship, like in Star Trek, so we would have the possibility to teleport people. It's not actually teleport, it's actually boosting your body speed by making you turn into particles, so you travel like 15% faster. And in motorways, if you did that to a car, and like your car drives underneath a bridge, like 70 miles an hour, and the machine scans it before it gets there, and sucks it all up and turns it into particles, and makes sure it's in the right, and it also has a computer to say, alright, this particle is the first layer, and then that layer is the next layer, and then when it gets to the side, which actually he wants to go to, it would turn him back into what he was, and he will be travelling at 70 miles an hour times by 15, about 350 miles an hour, maybe even faster. No, it's 950. You times it by 15, or you times it by how much more faster it is. But the problem is, the gravity could pull them particles down, because they would be so much more lighter. But then what we would have to do, we'd create a long big tube like this, along the motorway, and the cars will be in that. The particles will be following each other. But let's say this guy's driving 80 miles an hour behind this guy who's driving 70 miles an hour, and they meet up, and the particles, basically he's driving at 70 miles an hour, he turns into a bunch of particles, and the other guy's driving 80 miles an hour, so he turns into a bunch of particles, but because he was going at 80 miles an hour instead of 70 miles an hour, he might actually link with the other particles. And if that happens, when they change back into the cars, the two cars could be stacked together like a limo, or the two cars could be stacked together and the people could be linked, because the car particles might stick to the car particles and the human particles might stick to human particles, so it'd be like a stranger stacked to you. But also, if they couldn't do that because you're going 70 miles an hour, it might not be able to suck everything up, suck the car, suck your body into particles before you drive past. You might just drive past and it might just, oh, my arm's gone! My fucking arm's gone! You know what I mean? And then you look behind you and some guy is driving a car with no fucking head. And then he crashes. He wouldn't be dead. The particles would just be in the thing. But without the computer, he'd definitely be dead. Because we wouldn't know what order to put on by layer, by layer, by layer, by layer. Basically, the computer scans it like this. Scan, and it tells it where the particles and stuff. Very clever. But if we couldn't do it at that speed, it would just stop, because they would put signs there like a look, show your passport. Once you show your passport, you'd be like, the thing will race up, you drive under it, and then you'd be driving like 5 miles an hour, and the particle machine would suck you up, and you wouldn't even know what happened. But the driver behind you would say, what happened to the neighbour? And the passport man said, he got sucked into particles. That's what you get for being a terrorist. Not really. It's just like, well, it increases the speed. If you don't want to be sucked into particles, get on a different motorway. This is the particle motorway. And also, if you could do that with spaceships. Spaceships would be super light, because all the bits they don't use, you just suck it into particles and put it into tubes. And then you can go into space, then you just turn it back into a space rocket, because there's no gravity in space. Because once you just get far enough away from the planet, then there's no gravity. And also about that thing about the sun getting so big and overswelling the planets, eating the planets because it gets so big. That wouldn't happen. The sun would get so big, the gravity would increase so much, and it would yank us into the sun. That would happen. It wouldn't come to us. It would yank us to it. Because time by then, the gravity would be so high. Anyway, I hope you know now how to stop a backhoe. Basically, if the Hoover doesn't have enough range, then if the Hoover doesn't have more range than the backhoe, then this is what he has to do. He has to send the satellites into the backhoe and hope for the best. When it's in range, hopefully the Hoover will suck all the particles out of the backhoe . Oh, everyone's totally fucked.